Many people think Mopar's dominance in drag racing began with the legendary Hemi, but that's not entirely true. Long before the Hemi ruled the strip, there was another engine that quietly paved the way, the 413 Max Wedge. Emerging in the early 1960s, this beast wasn't made for comfort, cruising, or daily driving. It was built with a single, ruthless purpose: to win races. With its aggressive wedge-shaped heads, cross-ram intake, and earth-shaking power, the 413 was so extreme that it forced the NHRA to change its own rulebook. It was Mopar's first real weapon in the horsepower wars, a true game-changer that laid the foundation for everything that came after. Back then, Chrysler was facing an uphill battle. Ford, Chevrolet, and Pontiac were already capturing headlines on the drag strip, while Chrysler, despite its strong engineering and large displacement V8s, lacked that one standout engine that could dominate the quarter mile. Drag racing was no longer a small underground thrill. It had exploded into a mainstream sport, with crowds of young Americans packing local tracks every weekend to watch cars thunder down the strip in 13 to 14 seconds. Chrysler knew they couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer. If they wanted to capture the hearts of performance enthusiasts, they needed something radical, an engine purpose-built to destroy the competition off the line. That's how the Max Wedge program was born. It began with Chrysler's RB Series big block platform, expanded to 413 cubic inches of displacement, and evolved into something far more specialized than anything else on the market. Every component, intake, exhaust, combustion chambers, compression ratio, was redesigned from the ground up. There was nothing subtle about it. Chrysler's engineers created an engine that transformed ordinary street cars into factory-built drag racers. What made the Max Wedge so different wasn't just its size, it was the way it was engineered for pure performance. The wedge-shaped combustion chamber, which gave the engine its name, offered faster flame travel and improved efficiency compared to the hemispherical design, all while keeping costs lower. Then came the engine's most iconic feature, the cross-ram intake manifold. Instead of directing air straight into the nearest cylinder, the runners crossed over the engine bay, feeding the opposite bank. It looked strange, but it worked brilliantly. The long intake runners created a ram effect, boosting low-end torque and launching the car off the line with explosive force. The 413 Max Wedge was packed with racing hardware, high-lift camshafts, forged high-compression pistons ranging from 11 up to 13.5 to 1, oversized valves, and cast-iron shorty headers for maximum airflow. Officially, Chrysler rated it at around 410 to 420 horsepower, but those who tuned it properly knew the truth. It could easily push closer to 480 horsepower. Drivers could pair it with a beefy 3-speed manual or Chrysler's famous TorqueFlite automatic transmission. With short rear-end gearing, skinny front tires, and fat drag slicks at the rear, these cars were ready to race straight from the showroom. Chrysler didn't rely on exotic chassis or expensive frames either. They dropped the Max Wedge into lightweight production models like the Plymouth Savoy, Belvedere, Dodge Dart, and Polara, cars that looked ordinary but were anything but. To shed even more pounds, super stock versions were stripped down to the essentials. No radio, no sound insulation, no air conditioning. Nothing that didn't help win a race. It was a nonsense approach to performance, raw, loud, and built for one purpose only: domination on the drag strip. The 413 Max Wedge wasn't just an engine, it was a statement that Chrysler was done playing catch-up and ready to lead the muscle car revolution. Many of these factory drag cars were stripped down to the bare minimum. Chrysler's engineers and racers understood that every single pound mattered, so they replaced heavy glass with lightweight plexiglass, removed soundproofing, and in many cases even deleted the passenger and rear seats entirely. Buyers could order their cars with a manual or TorqueFlite automatic transmission, short rear-end ratios for explosive launches, skinny tires up front, and fat drag slicks at the rear. One of the coolest factory features was the quick detach exhaust dumps, which allowed racers to uncork the headers at the track within minutes. No tools, no hassle, just pure performance on demand.
Between 1962 and 1963, Chrysler produced only around 2,000 examples equipped with the 413 Max Wedge. That small production run ensured their rarity, but more importantly, it made them the stuff of legend. These were among the first true factory-built drag cars, machines you could buy straight off a dealership floor, drive to the track, and dominate the quarter mile the same day. When they debuted in 1962, Dodge and Plymouth models powered by the 413 immediately started rewriting dragstrip history. They stormed the superstock classes, outrunning even privately built and tuned racers. With quarter-mile times dipping well under 13 seconds, Max Wedge cars began showing up everywhere, from small-town drag strips to national events, and for 2 straight seasons, there was nothing that could touch them. Their success didn't go unnoticed. The NHRA soon realized these factory-backed cars were upsetting the balance between amateur racers and manufacturer teams. To restore fairness, new rules were introduced. Weight restrictions, part limitations, and class reassignments, all aimed at slowing down Chrysler's advantage. Yet even with those changes, the impact of the Max Wedge was undeniable. It had set a new precedent, the idea that a car company could sell a street-legal race car ready to compete right out of the showroom. This concept would go on to define the entire muscle car era. But as quickly as it rose, the Max Wedge's reign was short-lived. By 1963, Chrysler introduced the 426 Max Wedge, and soon after it came the legendary 426 Hemi, a name that would forever overshadow its predecessor. Naturally, the 413 was seen as just an early step, a prototype that paved the way for bigger and louder things. Its limited production also played a part in its fading fame. The cars built around it, lightweight Dodge Darts, Savoys, and Belvederes, were never designed for daily driving. They were noisy, stripped bare, and unapologetically uncomfortable. No air conditioning, no insulation, and exhaust notes that could rattle windows. These weren't family cars, they were factory-built missiles meant purely for competition. Because of that, the 413 Max Wedge never had the chance to become a mainstream cultural icon like the Hemi or later LS engines. It existed for only 2 years, and by the time enthusiasts caught on, Chrysler had already moved forward. Yet, among Mopar loyalists, the 413 never lost its respect. It was the first shot fired in Chrysler's drag racing revolution, the spark that ignited a movement. Today, finding an original matching numbers 413 Max Wedge car is almost impossible. Out of roughly 2,000 built, only a handful are believed to survive in authentic condition. When one does appear, like a genuine Plymouth Savoy or Dodge Dart Superstock, it can fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. But for collectors, it's not just about the money. It's about owning the first chapter of Mopar's performance story, a piece of history that marked the beginning of an era when American automakers built real monsters, not for marketing, but for pride. In modern times, museums and private collectors treat these cars like sacred artifacts, preserving every bolt and faded emblem. The 413 Max Wedge represents something the automotive world rarely sees anymore: raw mechanical power, unfiltered and untamed by computers or electronics. It's a symbol of a time when engines were built by instinct, courage, and engineering genius. Though the 413 may not enjoy the same fame as the Hemi, it remains Mopar's forgotten foundation stone, the original monster that started it all. It deserves to be remembered, celebrated, and respected as the machine that transformed Chrysler from an underdog into a drag strip powerhouse.